We will from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 10. That's where we ended up last time. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So those words that don't describe Krishna's glories are basically waste. So all this gossip, all the news, all the things that we hear that don't glorify Krishna are as good as cacophony. They're just sound that is not of any use to us. As devotees, it doesn't please our ears. Text 11. Aparna, want to read?
Hare Krishna. Chapter 5, Text 11. Tad bhag visargo janatagha viplavo yasmin prati slokam abhattavati api namani anantasya yaso niktaniyat Shrivanti Kayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious livings of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, glories of the Lord, right? So, on the other hand, the literature which full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. So, name, fame, form, pastime. There's a reason why it is given in that order. Because name, we chant the holy name of Krishna. As we chant, we start appreciating the glories of the Lord. So Krishna's fame is how awesome he is, how beautiful he is, how strong he is, how clever he is, how sweet-worded he is, right? So we start appreciating all those little aspects of Krishna. Then manifests the appreciation for the form, the Supreme Lord's form. Oh, this is how Krishna is, right? But it's not a material form, so we can't visualize it. It is manifested in the heart, thereby we can appreciate the Archa Vigraha. And then there is the Leelas, the pastimes of the Lord become manifest to us. So yeah, we hear the pastimes as one thing, but being in the pastimes while you're chanting the holy name, imagine that. So that's the kind of chanting that Rupa Goswami and great acharyas would is to have, where you're chanting, but you're actually in Radha Krishna's Leela, witnessing it happening live. So that's the highest level of Krishna conscious chanting one can imagine. Of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creed, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution to the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. So we call it the Hare Krishna movement, because it's supposed to be something that is different than what people are used to, right? It's a revolution, Srimad Bhagavatam says, because people are used to going in a certain direction, Wake up in the morning, go to work, come back from work, have dinner, watch Netflix, go to sleep, da-di-da-di-da-di-da. But when one comes to Krishna consciousness, slowly one transforms. And when many such people transform, a society transforms, a city transforms, a country transforms. And that's what brings forth a revolution, a positive revolution. Now we think revolution means, oh, narebazi, like, oh, I want my rights and whatnot. But revolution can be also on a positive note of spiritual revolution, what Srila Prabhupada started, what Lord Chaitanya, instigated, and what is carrying on through the descendants of the Hare Krishna movement started by Srila Prabhupada. So it's important for us to understand that this is not an ordinary thing. It's a revolution. And when you try to do revolution, you're a rebel. When you're a rebel, guess what? People who are part of the normative culture, the standardized culture, the culture that is normal, you're no more a normal person. You're no more accepted by the normal people, and you don't act and behave like them. So they don't necessarily have an idea how to put you in a box because you don't fit in their box, right? So that's why it is important for us to acknowledge what we're doing is risky. Risky, why? Because Durga Devi herself is going to use all her efforts to misdirect us. And it is important that we hold on to Krishna's lotus feet as this happens. What to speak of our neighbors, our relatives, our near and dear ones, our friends. When you become part of this revolution, you will be rejected by a lot. You'll be misunderstood by a lot. But nevertheless, it's worth all of that because it is something that eventually will bring the misdirected civilization to a direction of peace, prosperity, and compassion. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Now, if somebody is honest, they will accept something that is better than their own belief system, even though it might not agree with their current belief system, right? What does dishonest look like? Dishonest means you're pretending to sleep. You know you're on the wrong path, yet you pretend to be like, no, 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 blind faith. I know this is who I am, and I'm going to hold on to it. No matter how much logically I understand, there might be something better out there. Honesty means, you know what? This is what I know. You have a better explanation? Please tell me, and I will accept your philosophy. So, for example, Prakashananda Saraswati, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in UP, was in Allahabad, or at that time Prayagraj, now also it's called Prayagraj. So Prayagraj, Mahaprabhu was chanting and dancing on the streets like he always used to do. And Prakashananda Saraswati felt that a sannyasi should never do that. And being a Mayavadi, he couldn't understand the transcendental emotions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they were saying negative things about Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's disciples didn't like it. But somehow, Prakashananda Saraswati sent an invitation to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, please come and have prasad with us. Prasad meaning food with us, lunch with us. Okay. Mahaprabhu was like, I generally don't accept invitations from Mayavadis, but since my disciples wanted me to go, I want to go. So Tapan Mishra and all these other personalities who were around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were surprised that he's going there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and he sat down at the feet washing and hand washing place, which is like a very dirty place to be for a sannyasi. But he was exhibiting his quality of humility. And as he sat there, Prakashananda Saraswati and all his 60,000 disciples could see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was glowing like the Brahmajyoti, because they are all into Brahmajyoti. Mahaprabhu was showcasing that Brahmajyoti aspect of his godliness, because as we learned, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. So Krishna or God has three forms. The Brahmajyoti aspect, all energy, all pervading. Paramatma aspect, localized within the heart. And Bhagavan, Krishna, Swam Bhagavan Krishna. So Brahma Jyoti is where these guys are stuck, Mayavadis, Brahmavadis. For them, everything is one. You are me, I am you. I am God, you're God, we're all God. That concept. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exhibiting that Brahma Jyoti, and they could see he's glowing. So he's not just a common sannyasi. He is a great personality. So Prakashananda Saraswati personally came and extended his arm to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, please, you don't deserve to be here. Come sit with us. And he did his first service, seva, to the Supreme Lord by touching his body, picking up by his arm, and bringing him to the place where all the sannyasis were sitting. And Prakashananda Saraswati started the debate process. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu vehemently defeated him. So much so that Prakashananda Saraswati was very honest. So because he was honest, he could understand this is higher philosophy than the philosophy I am in right now. And thereby, Prakashananda Saraswati accepted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his guru. And he asked his 60,000 disciples to also accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his guru. And thereby, all of them became instantly Vaishnavas from being Brahmavadis. So it's very important to understand that how honesty can help us. Even if we are on the path of truth, sometimes we are stuck on the lower rungs of truth. And there is higher truth and higher truth and higher truth. Being closed-minded means we're losing out on the opportunity to know what that higher truth might be. So it's important that we keep an open mind. When I was starting out with ISKCON and Vaishnavism, I was very close-minded. Initially, I was close-minded, being a Mayavadi myself, Ramakrishna Mission and all, and I couldn't accept ISKCON. But then after coming to ISKCON, I became very close-minded about ISKCON only and no other organization, no other faith, nothing. And kind of rejecting anything I would not consider coming from disciplic succession, I would just reject. Now, I think how many years? 2005 to 2024. So 20 years, 19 years? 19 years of Krishna consciousness. Wow. So I can say one thing, that with maturity, one can pick up gold from wherever you find it, right? It's a scriptural statement that says gold, even if it is found in the dirtiest of places, it is gold. You can pick it up and you can clean it up and you can use it, right? So same way, loving thoughts about God can be picked up from anywhere, whether it's a Christian faith, the Islamic faith, the Brahmavadi ideas, right? It can be picked up from anywhere. I'm more open-minded. Having said that, I know who's my father, who's my uncle, and who's my neighbor. That is also important, right? Srila Prabhupada, I'm loyal to him. I'm loyal to his disciplic succession. Gauriya Math and other missions might be my uncles, right? Who I'm okay, I can appreciate, I can respect. The Brahmavadis, Mayavadis, half-truth or opposite of truth when it comes to Mayavada philosophy, I can respect them. At least they're following celibacy, hopefully. At least they're following some religious principles. At least they're on the path of Sanatana Dharma. I can appreciate that. So rather than reject, it is important to acknowledge and appreciate, but not be part of it, right? And honesty is that, where we honestly acknowledge, you know what, I don't know everything. There might be some truth here, some truth there. But at least I know one thing. Srila Prabhupada, what he has given me is enough to go back to Godhead. So these books, Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, enough to go back to Godhead. If we know this, done. One lifetime, we can say, Haribol, no more karma. Thank you very much. Material world, enough of you. So honesty is very important for us to accept higher truth and higher truth and higher truth. Otherwise, the idea is, I know. You try to talk to any Hindu person about Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I know Gita. Oh, I know this. Have you read the Gita? No. So are you lying to me? Yes. Oh, I know spirituality. Oh, I know I've watched this serial. And so hence I know everything. So these are dishonest ways. So to be Krishna conscious, to accept the philosophy, we must be truthful. And truth is, I don't know, I want to know. And if somebody is presenting a higher truth, we accept it. One time, my spiritual master was on a flight. Since he's white-bodied, there were 6 or 7 Jesuit monks on the plane. And they were talking amongst themselves that, oh, one of us got into some Buddhism or something, because sometimes people think of us as Buddhists. So this one of these monks walked up to my spiritual master, my guru, and said, oh, seems like you're a Buddhist monk. He's like, no, I'm a Hare Krishna. I was like, oh, what is that? And he explained briefly. Like, okay. Were you born this way? No, I was born a Christian. Oh, you were one of us. Yes, what happened? In fact, my parents were, my Guru Maharaj said, and my parents were actually priests. Oh, you were in the church? Yes. My father was a priest. My mother was a devout Christian. And I was searching for God, and I did not appreciate the answers that was given to me by my clerics and my church father. So I started exploring, and I looked out there, and I studied Islam, I studied Christianity, I studied all forms of Christianity. And then I came to the Bhagavad Gita and multiple versions of Bhagavad Gita. Then I found my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and his Bhagavad Gita made the most sense. And then I got addicted to studying it and studying the scriptures. And I met my guru, and I became a devotee, and here I am. He's like, oh, how many years has it been? Half a century. Oh, right. And then the story goes on. And then they try to say, but, you're a Christian, you're born a Christian, you must try. There's no other way to God but Jesus Christ. And he gave his answers and everything. And he said, look, I'm open-minded. If you can give me a better truth, I'm happy to accept it. But I've not found a higher truth than Krishna consciousness. I'm not being dogmatic, but I've not found something higher than Krishna consciousness. I've explored everything that I could possibly do. If you present me with a better philosophy than Krishna consciousness, please do. I'm open to listening. And they could see the clarity of thought. They could see the conviction that this person has versus their ideas, their spirituality, their books. They have to cover up a lot of things to make sense of it. So, for example, Jesus Christ, what happened to him between the age of 12 and the age of 31, right? All these years, 18 years or so, whatever, lost. What happened? They don't know. Cover it up, right? That talks about incarnation. Cover it up. Whereas for us, we ask questions. What verse, what scripture, which chapter, which text does it say? We can always look through all our scriptures. We can connect the dots. We can find our answers. So we don't have to be dogmatic. And our process of scriptures is question answer. So it's important that we understand that that's who we are. That's what our legacy is. Next verse, text 12.
Text 12. Nashkarmyam apyachutam bhavavarjitam na shobhate jnanam malam niranjanam kutah punah sasvada bhadram ishvare na charpitam karma yad apyakaranam. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of infallible God. What, then, is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord?
Okay, thank you very much. Knowledge of self-realization, even though what? Sorry. Okay. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of conceptions of infallible God. So knowledge, even though free from material affinity. So we're talking about Brahmavadi ideas, right? They're talking about self-realization without God realization. So knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for devotional service of the Lord? So even spiritual knowledge without God is not, good enough. What to speak of material activities is what is being said. Atho महाभाग भगवन अमोघ दृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रता उरुक्रामस्य किल बन्धमुक्तया समाधिना नुस्मर विचेष्टितम. Translation: O Vyasadev, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You're firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus, you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all bondage, all material bondage. O Vyasadev, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. That means he has very good history. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. These are some qualities of Vyasadeva. And thus, you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. So to think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance, that means in samadhi, right? Not thinking, but in trance, samadhina, that's the word used here. To be in that position, one has to have firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. That means vows for sense control, celibacy, etc. Spotless fame and completely perfect in vision. Who can see with clear vision? What did we learn from chapter 5, text 18 of Bhagavad Gita? Pandita Samadarshinaha. A humble sage, by the dint of true vision, sees with equality all beings. A chandala, a cow, a brahmana, an elephant, a dog, everyone. So that's equal vision, right? True vision, because you're seeing through the eyes of spirituality. Everybody is spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Okay. Go ahead. Anybody else to read? Text 14.
Text 14. Tato nyatha kinchana yad vivaksatah prithang drishastad krita rupanam bihi nakarhichit vapi cha dustita mate labhita vatahata nor evaspadam. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind, as the wind agitates a boat which has
No resting place. Thank you very much. So, when the boat has no anchor, guess what? A little bit of wind and the boat will move from here to there. Now we are trying to move in our life in a certain direction. If we don't have the anchor of Krishna consciousness, we will get swayed here and there. So whatever you desire to describe, that is separate from the vision, separate in vision from the Lord. So basically whatever you're doing or thinking, that is separate enjoyment away from Krishna. Basically, it reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind. There's no other thing that you gain out of it. Same thing, if you somehow connected with Krishna, the opposite is true. You're anchored in Krishna consciousness. Now, you can't be moved from your constitutional position, and you can use all things in service to Krishna with proper intelligence and creativity of how to connect the dots. That is what we're here for. And that is the kind of questions you should be asking me of different situations in life where you can anchor yourself to Krishna consciousness, no matter where you are, what you're doing, however the situation is, how to be Krishna conscious in that situation and how to align that situation and act in such a way that it aids your Krishna conscious growth. Text 15.
Jugupsitam dharma kritenu swabhava raktasya mahan vyatikramaha yad vakyato dharma iti tarah stito namanyate tasya nivaranam janaha. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy and have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions.
Okay, thank you. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy. Why? Why are people naturally inclined to enjoy?
Because we want to play, Prabhu.
Sorry?
Because we want to play. We in Golok Vrindavan, we always wanted to enjoy and play. And one of the other reasons is Matra Sparshas Sukhantya Shitoshna Sukhadukada. That means like when we want to enjoy our senses, that's what we want to do. That's why we want to enjoy.
But my question was, why do we want to enjoy? Okay, Aparna?
Because the true nature of a soul is to remain happy. Like that's the true essence. But
Right.
since we are in the material consciousness and in material surrounding, we don't know what is the way to get that happiness. So what happens is that our mind always tries to seek happiness, and in that way, seeks from like various ways, like leisure, or even sometimes even religion, as it says in this a way to get out of your your troubles, just a way out, and it might be anything. It might be any material luxuries or intoxication, but because our true nature is to remain happy, we are trying to find that, but we don't know the way. And I think this is the way, but we don't know yet fully.
Thank you very much. So, yes, it's natural for us to enjoy because we are part of Krishna. What does Krishna do? He enjoys all day, all night. All day he enjoys with the gopas, all night he enjoys with the gopis. So we are part of the Supreme Lord. So it's natural for us to look for happiness, to want to enjoy. And Krishna conscious is the path, doesn't have to be boring. We're chanting, we're dancing, we're eating prasadam. So enjoyment, anandya abhyasat, right? So ananda abhyasat is natural. So always we are seeking pleasure. Now, in the process of seeking pleasure, it's also a trap. Just like a fly who's looking for light, finds something glowing and sometimes walks into the fire, and thereby they kill themselves. Or maybe flies into a hot bulb and might end up dead. But they're looking for that light. So same way, we are seeking enjoyment, and that's natural to us. Now, when we feed ourselves enjoyment through something Krishna conscious, we are enhancing our life. When we feed ourselves enjoyment through something materialistic, we are submerging ourselves in materialism. So it is our hunger. It's like hungry, right? If I'm hungry, I can be eating glass, or I can be eating, some kind of rice, paneer, something. So one is food, the other is not. But hunger is hunger. Hunger needs to be satisfied. Glass might not satisfy the hunger, but at least the urge to swallow something is there. So same way, it is important that when the urge is there to enjoy, that urge is quenched with something spiritual. And thereby, we have kirtans, we have dancing, we have spiritual parties, we have prasadam, we have spiritual entertainment, which allows us to continue, or rather ingest enjoyment in a legal way, in a way that enhances us rather than puts us down. So people in general naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. Narad Muni is telling this to Vyasadeva. This is verily condemned and quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instructions. So what Vyasadeva has done, he has created the Vedic knowledge. Am I audible, by the way? Is everybody able to hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
just making sure. So what Vyasadeva has done, he has created the Vedic system purely focused on enjoyment. Worship sun god for good health, worship Indra for better rain, worship this for that, and this for that, and this for that. It's all need-based, and it's very much focused on material enjoyment. There is spiritual enjoyment, which is legal, but the Vedas apparently seems to be material enjoyment. Now, people who are innocent and seekers are coming to the Vedas for direction. And Narad Muni is saying, Vyasa, you have pushed them in the wrong direction under the garb of religiosity, under the garb of religion. And that is misdirection. That is unreasonable. That's not the right thing to do. When people come to you, don't misguide them. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instruction. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions, right? So in the name of religion, they'll accept, like a lot of people are like, Lord Shiva smokes ganja, so I am Lord Shiva's follower, right? And that's the reason to be Lord Shiva's follower. Many people are Lord Shiva's followers because they feel they can relate to their Lord. Lord Shiva also drank poison. We don't do that. So people pick and choose, right? So that's foolishness, that in the name of religion, you're using religion to basically materially demote yourself. Okay. Next verse. Anybody wants to read? Yes, Pradeep Prabhu?
Prabhuji, how is material enjoyment, although it is spiritual enjoyment is better than material enjoyment, but I want the exact reason, means how it can be differed.
How it can be?
How it is different.
Different,
Because,
or how is it detrimental?
Yes, how it is detrimental, right?
Okay. So it is detrimental in the sense that matter, consciousness on matter, leads to what? Matter by nature is temporary. Matter by nature is dull. Matter by nature is where happiness can't be derived. Achit, Nirananda. One part is Sat Chit Ananda. The other part is Asat, Achit, Nirananda. So when we are trying to do material enjoyment is temporary. Happiness can't be derived from it, but the hope of happiness, the promise of happiness is there. It has happened to me many times. People invite me to some party, some club, and be like promising me happiness. And me being an introvert, being there, all this music is happening, everybody's dancing, but I can't dance, I can't connect, I can't relate, and I'm suffering, right? Happened 2-3 times, and I was like, screw this, this is not for me. So that's material enjoyment, right? Now, of course, there are people who can dance and who can enjoy that music and are in the modes of passion and ignorance and can attune to that. But how long does it stay? It is temporary by nature, right? And it doesn't have a lasting impact. Those time that you just spent, what do you get out of it? temporary happiness in the mode of passion or ignorance. Like, okay, I drank, I listened to music, I danced a lot, and then tomorrow morning I'm struggling a little bit, going to work and my whatever condition that I'm in. So material happiness leads to nirananda. Eventually there is a negative connotation. Dukhaushadam tadapi dukkham. That what we think is a medicine for our disease creates more disease, right? We thought cars would make transportation better and life better and faster and cheaper and everything else. But eventually we are suffering from global warming. I don't know about Kolkata, but in Kolkata, it's very, very hot, and we're all suffering due to global warming. And many of the places around the world, people are suffering from global warming because of the the greenhouse effects and everything. Cow killing, methane gas that's the number one thing is cattle farming. Those places where they're doing factory farming, all the methane from the excreta from the cows and the bulls and the sheep, goat, all of that, they're the number one contributors to ozone layer depletion. Number two is cars, the exhaust from the cars. Number three, many other things. So whatever we have created as dukhaushadam has led to tadapi dukkham. Today we have wars because of oil, right? So that oil is for what? So that cars can run. So dukhaushadam tadapi dukkham. So on a larger scale of things, material things lead to temporary happiness and in the long run, some form of misery or nothingness, right? What did I get out of it? Nothing. Whereas same time, if we dedicate to Krishna consciousness, spiritual happiness, spiritual entertainment, spiritual food, spiritual anything, there is prolonged benefit in a spiritual bank account that can't be taken away from us. Material benefit, even if it is prolonged, let's say, it stays only till the body is there. Next life, ABC 1, 2, 3, we have to start from very beginning. So what I'm trying to say here is that material world, happiness can't be found in matter. Happiness only comes from interaction. When you buy that nice car, happiness comes when somebody says, whoa, what a car. And that person is conscious, who's a soul. So happiness is coming from another soul appreciating your car. And it's not necessarily that this car is giving me a sense of, comfort is there, no doubt. Nice seats, heated seats, whatnot. Okay, you're getting the comfort. It's shock absorbers are very nice. But happiness comes from souls connecting with each other, spiritual beings connecting with each other in whatever fashion that is positive. Negatively, also, it can impact. The point is, happiness comes when spiritual beings connect with each other. What to speak of when spiritual beings connect with the supreme spiritual being, Krishna? That's the ultimate happiness that can't be even described in words. So powerful. Clear a little bit?
Probably I asked this question because I was discussing with one of my friends. He's continuously traveling and he meet many people. So he says happiness just an approach. You don't have to find in any god on like that. We have to meet people and we feel happiness from meeting them or traveling to a different places. So I was unanswerable to
so there is happiness at mode of ignorance by taking drugs, alcohol, etc. There is happiness in mode of passion from achievements and winning this, winning that, name, fame, glory. There's happiness in the mode of goodness, which is from giving charity, good life, knowledge, whatnot. And then there is transcendental happiness, which is far beyond anybody's imagination. Now, materialistic people, they've never tasted it, so they don't know what happiness truly is, what spiritual happiness is. If you've never tasted ghee, no matter how much I explain things to you, you don't know. I can say it's clarified butter. I can show you it's kind of brownish in color. But unless you smell it or taste it, you can't experience that happiness. So same way, your friend, he has gotten some happiness by connecting with people. Okay. But is there more? Yes. Is there more intense happiness? Certainly. right? So more we go upper in the layers, from mode of ignorance to goodness to transcendence, we experience more joy, more internal happiness, and things that words are not enough to describe.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So, somebody, when they say like that, you can always say, well, you can't comment on something that you've not tasted. That happiness can't be tasted from God. Okay, have you tried God? Have you tried the path? How do you know? And they might say, but have you tried drugs? How do you know? Well, I know from other people who have tried drugs. I see them suffering on the streets. They become beggars and they become homeless, and they lose control of their minds and do stupid stuff. I've also seen people who have derived happiness from God, and I see them, how much they're helping people and how much they're themselves happy and stable and balanced in their lives. I see the difference, and thus I know which way to go. So poetic.
Right, right.
Anything else?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Aparna, you had your hand raised? Or hand raised?
Yes, I had my hand raised, but you answered partially with Pradeep Prabhu's second question, but still, just asking, like, is there a clear distinction? Because the highest level is transcendence, right? But it starts with the mode of ignorance, passion, and sometimes it's very difficult to reach at that mode of transcendence because it's beyond the normal and physical level, right? Like, and it takes time, right? So suppose, for example, when there was the pandemic, many people, they derived happiness by helping. Like, it was not derive happiness, like they did the good things, right? They helped people to in various ways with during that situation. So that was not a transcendental thing, right? It was like mode of goodness. So is there, like, can that also be, like, everything cannot be spiritual, right? Because we live in a material world, but there are many people who do things out of mode of goodness, who might not even believe in God, but they do a lot of things in mode of goodness. Like, and there are many chances that in their entire lifetime they never reach that transcendence or believe in God till the last day, but they have done a lot of good things out of mode of goodness. Can this, in, like, because they are doing the good things, like, doesn't that count in their, like,
Yeah,
what is the difference?
absolutely. It counts in their karma. Good karma.
They will never
heaven.
reach the
Like Amindra.
ultimate.
Yeah, but they can't reach
Okay.
ultimate because they're not aiming for it. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
aiming
No,
for
I
it.
get
If I
the
don't
point.
want to go to Krishna, why should Krishna force us to come to him?
Right.
You want to do good
But
for
is
people.
it?
You become a Surya, a Chandra, Varuna. You can do good for all creatures in the universe. Become a great demigod. Become a great sage. In the next life, become a great philanthropist. But end of the day, you're still in this black box called material world. Let's understand that very clearly. If you are in jail and you behave very nicely, you're still in jail. You might get a little privilege of having a TV or access to a little bit more butter on your bread or something of that sort, a little bit of free time, where you can walk around outside your jail cell, but you're still in jail. Right? Great person doing a lot of good things. But without Krishna in the picture, there's no question of going to Krishna, going to the place where there is no time, there is no karma. So material world, spiritual world, whatever material activities we do, yes, it counts. That's called karma. Every action counts. And that leads to future reactions. And based on that, we create more action and more reaction. Yes?
Right. So it's like kind of a blanket thing. Like, if one has that kind of goodness, like the transcendence, right? Then
Yes.
automatically the mode of goodness also comes in, right? But if mode of goodness, that's the, like, the
Transcendence has
super check.
everything in it.
Right. that's a superset, right? So yeah, thank you.
You can appreciate from a when I say everything in it, I don't mean like you also drink, you also do this, you also do that. No, what I mean to say is it has the happiness that you get from drugs. It has the happiness you get from achievement. It has the happiness you get from charity. It also has the happiness that you get from serving Krishna. It has all that and more. So Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, started by saying Kaitava Dharma, that it does not cater to cheating religion, where, cheating religion is what it's referring to is like, you do this, you get that, you do this, you get that, business mentality, materialistic religiosity. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are verses that are saying, after hearing the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Narshikadev, you're benefited as high as 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, or you will get all opulence of Indra, or you will get so much this and so much that. What does that mean? Although it is not Kaitava Dharma, at the same time, you're not missing out on all the opulence. You're not missing out on things that demigods have. You're getting all that and more. So you're not missing out on anything. That's what it's referring to. Sometimes we feel, oh, as devotees, we're missing out on all that fun stuff that others are doing. No, you're not. You will not. You will have so much happiness and so much fun that fun will look like a drop in the desert. That's the idea.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Pradeep Prabhu, you had your hands raised.
Yes, Ravi. Yeah, the activities that are being done in mode of goodness, like feeding people, let's say. So
Reading
this
people.
is again feeding
Feeding
people.
people. Okay.
Yes. So this is like a material happiness. Once again, a material happiness, right? And
Well, feeding
but
people
serving
prasadam versus feeding
yes,
people
serving prasadam,
something else.
feeding prasadam is spiritual happiness, and feeding people is material happiness, right?
Happiness is there both. Feeding is a mode of goodness activity. So there is happiness. But feeding prasadam and seeing people transform, that happiness of Krishna consciousness, Krishna being pleased. Oh boy. That happiness, something else. My mother is a social worker. She's here with me. She has been a social worker all her life. So I've seen her giving blankets to senior citizens, who are underprivileged, doing eye testing camps for them, blood donation camps for them. So I grew up seeing my mother do all kinds of activities, and it gave her tremendous happiness to do that. And given now she's a devotee and she's serving so many devotees, feeding them prasadam, the happiness that she has is very different. And same way, I have experienced that joy while being a student, serving prasadam to many students. A lot of times I would not have any prasadam left, and I love prasadam. I love paneer, I love cheese, I love tasty things, right? I'm a foodie. But the joy of feeding others at the cost of not having anything for myself, oh boy, I can't explain that. It's something else. So yes, transcendental activity versus goodness activity, materialistic goodness activity, it's can't even be compared, because this happiness is coming because Krishna inside is manifesting something unexplainable.
Prabhuji, one question that might be very controversial.
Uh-huh.
Are we creating a hypothetical situation that Krishna exists and we are dedicating everything to Krishna, and so we are very stable and like that?
Maybe. Who knows? Only you can know that. I can't tell you that and make you believe that. When Krishna reciprocates with you, you will know that Krishna is reciprocating with you. I can't force you to say, Pradeep Prabhu, that's Krishna. Do you see that? I can't make you see him. He will manifest himself. I can only prepare you with the knowledge so that you can appreciate Govindamadi Purusham Tabaha Bhajabi. Right? But Krishna's hands can be only appreciated by you. And I can tell you this, Krishna goes to a lot of extent to prove that he's real. That's my experience. I also had the same idea. Are we creating a hypothetical situation where, okay, we're thinking Krishna, 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 and it's like all the influence on the mind and all the Prabhujis and Matajis and all the environment is such that, I'm not able to create environment for all of you. We only meet once a week. I was fortunate to be in Krishna conscious environment all the time, where Krishna, 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 Krishna Katha, Krishna appreciation, Prabhupada this, Prasadam that, love from devotees, embracing, hugging, home programs constantly. And at one point I asked myself, is it because of all that? Because I'm surrounded by devotees and Krishna consciousness that I'm feeling this? And voila, there was a problem. Krishna, help! Only he could help. And he helped. And I was like, this could be only Krishna, no other way. And Prabhu, you have video experience of it, right? There's a video footage showcasing.
Right,
I was
Prabhuji.
like, okay, in case you forget, I'll make sure I manifest myself on CCTV.
Right, Prabhuji. But I have this question. Many a times, that isn't it a hypothetical? In that time also, I think that it's okay to be hypothetical, but it makes me more stable and more better in my life. So what's wrong in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what Prabhupada answered one time. Somebody asked, what if you find out at the time of death there is no Krishna, there is no God? He said, well, I'd be disappointed for sure, but at least I would have lived a good life, doing good things for others. Philosophy is impeccable. Prasadam, vegetarianism, cleanliness habits. At least I've lived a good life. What if you find out at the time of death there is Krishna, and you had all the opportunity, but you didn't take it up? What will you do then? The person became thoughtful and sat down. I was like, huh. Right? So it's important to understand that our philosophy is so beautiful. We're not doing, we're not killing animals. We're not hurting anyone. We're not doing anything. Even without Krishna, if you see, it's joyful, it's harmless, it's harmonic, it's compassionate. There's nothing that is harmful in our philosophy. And Krishna, makes everything million billion times better, his presence. But even without him, all of this is very much something that even a commoner who is an atheist can appreciate. You guys are good people. At least they can say that. You guys are good people.
Yes. True. Very true.
All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, and see you next Friday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.